them to give you some kind of document in your hand that you finished the class. They can send it to the agency, because the agency is who needs to give it to the judge. They can send it to the agency, but you get something in your hand. If you finish drug treatment, get something saying you finished drug treatment.
That's what I'm telling
If you
her.
finish social work, get something saying you finished whatever it is you finished. Get something saying that you finished it. Then, if they don't have the documents, you can have the documents, or give a copy of the documents to your attorney, who can also give them to the judge. But the main thing is, make sure you also have a copy, because you don't know if your lawyer will show up with the paperwork
That's
either.
what I'm telling her to do.
Have your own stuff that you can give them a copy, and you can have a copy that shows that you finished stuff.
Because they don't even have papers where she ran away from school.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to have a copy. So I asked her, I says, when the school called you, did you carry the police with me? She says, yeah. I said, do you have a statement from the police and from the school? She says, yes. I says, and every time she run away and every time you have a problem, you ask for somebody to sign papers, dated, whatever. Because when you go to court, they're going to ask you for that. She told the social worker about it. I look at this case and I'm saying, is this really a case? What is this? Social worker don't do no paperwork no more.
No, they do stuff. It's almost like, if you remember, just a couple of days ago, there was a case where one of the children that had been picked up at the border walked out of the agency where he was placed. Remember that?
15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
One
this
of
is
the
what
Latin-
this
and
girl
he
did.
just walked on out. And so they asked him, well, why couldn't you stop him? And so the
They didn't.
people at the agency stated that, this is not a jail.
That's what they told her.
You see?
She walked off from
now
her state.
you have a person who may or may not speak English, who doesn't know where he is, who's homeless on the street somewhere, at the age of 15, that you removed from their parents and placed in a different state.
And I understand.
It's some system that we have, but part of the problem with the entire situation of Child Protective is most people think it works.
Most people think it works.
Oh yeah.
Well, they think it works. It's not.
This is why they have this thing, whereas they encourage people to call in and report people. If you see something, say something. If you see somebody being abused, you say something. They want you to report. Teachers are mandated reporters, and they have removed the option of talking to the child to find out what happened. All they are supposed to do is report. Doctors are mandated reporters. This is why when I told the young lady to take her child to the doctor or to the hospital, then that would have been a record that she could have found and had her hands on. I didn't say go to the police station. But, people make their own decisions. You can only tell them and suggest that this is what you do. Okay, granted it was late in the evening, maybe the police station was more convenient. Maybe she thought that the police would take her to the doctor, but in the medical facility, in the hospital, there are police. And if the police needed to be called, the medical facility could have picked up a phone and said, Sergeant Joe, come upstairs on the 4th floor. But the records would have been taken, and a statement would have been taken from the child regarding what had happened, and medical services would have been provided. So it's like it's different stuff. Sometimes we go in and we feel that they're going to just treat us right, or know that stuff is wrong just because we're sitting there in front of them, But oftentimes, they don't treat us right. They don't know stuff is wrong. And when you have certain groups that are mandated reporters, I'm sure somewhere down the road they will want to mandate everyone. And so part of our problem when you start looking at solutions to this is to look at our neighbors, look at our blocks where we live at, and educate our neighbors regarding what's happening, because it is our neighbors, and in some cases our relatives, who are making these reports, and they're making true reports and some of them are making false reports. It was one case I remember hearing about where a report was made on a preacher. And in this particular case, the report was false, but it drove him out of the preaching business. He had to leave and gather up his wife, gather up his family, because he had been accused of what was it, sexual abuse with the children within the church. Now we hear a lot of that, and in many cases it's true. But in this particular case, it was false. There are cases where people will call on you if you have a business and they see you doing well, their business is not doing well, then they'll report you. And then the people will show up at your door and start asking your kids questions, wanting to take your child's clothes off, and you're wondering, well, what is this? Take the child's clothes off. You know, it's kind of strange in the communities of people of color. It's not a practice that we really have gone down that road to accepting, where we allow anybody to come in, well, policemen or anybody else, and say, well, take your child's clothes off. And this is taking children's clothes off who might be 17, 16, 6 months old, because they want to see if there are bruises on the child's body. The child might not want the clothes taken off. So then they look and they say, oh, the child is resistant. Maybe the child is covering up some scars under her clothes, so under his clothes. So that gives them an opportunity to remove the child, because they resist having to take their clothes off in front of this strange person and stand there naked.
Sister Sharonne, we are at the end. First of all, are there any questions, any observations? What's the therefore that you might share with the panel and with those who will see this on the internet? Guidelines for parents. What you've shared is an awareness right now. What are some things that, let's say 4 or 5 things that parents, regardless of how well they're taking care of their children, should be aware of?
Well, one of the things that you should be aware of is that this system happens, and it's happening every day. Every day it's happening. And that even though you might feel that you're not in jeopardy, we are all in jeopardy as long as the system is in the way it is. Now, we also need to know that we as people in our communities and as parents can advocate for change within this system. This law that I spoke of that allows you 15 of 22 months to get your child out of foster care can be changed. The system where they have very little offerings to hold families together can be changed, but you have to advocate for that. You have to let your representatives know you want this change. You're tired of this. You're tired of these things happening. Now, most people, particularly the agencies that do this work in child welfare, will obviously oppose these types of changes because it's their livelihoods that are at stake if these changes change things. Now, I'm sure you understand how it's happening, because right now we talk about these tent cities that are being built down, I believe it's in Texas somewhere, to house children that are coming across the border, and to house their parents in these prisons when they come across the border. People are becoming millionaires and billionaires because of this practice. They don't want to stop this, but we can stop it. We can talk about it, we can stop it, we can shame it, we can enact laws that will change this to make our services and our families more hospitable in this system so that we can function better. Years ago, there were children who were in care. We didn't call it foster care then, because I'm sure you remember how some of your grandparents and great-grandparents took in kids, And at a certain point, they'd send the kids, when their mother and father got on their feet, would send the kids to them, or send them back to them so that they could stay. That happens all the time. That happened during the Great Migration, when people migrated to New York. They didn't come necessarily with the kids at that moment. They left them with somebody, and they came. And they found jobs, they found housing, and then they sent for the kids. We can change this, but it has to be something that we want to do. That's why I said to you, talk to the people on your floor. Because as much as we blame Child Protective for the bad things that they do, someone has to say, go here, go there. This is happening at this address. Someone has to call and alert them where to go. And those are the people that we need to change their mindset, because the people aren't calling at the, they're not calling on those people who are down on Park Avenue. They have the same amount of abuse in their homes, and maybe even more. They're not calling on those people who are living in those Hasidic communities and having all their children placed in foster care. This is happening to us in our community. So it's something that we have to deal with. We have to fix it in our community. We have to change the way the people see us, right in our buildings, right in our next door neighbor's house. We have to change that so that the system can change for us.
Thank you very much. This is the Wisdom Table, and we've had another show that's a wake-up call. Information that we don't get to hear or read about, you've heard on this program today, and that's what East Harlem Community Radio is about, bringing you information that otherwise would not get to the general audience. Thank you very much. Thank you, panel.
Sister Jenkins said she got her friend's situation.
Wait a minute, there's one thing we didn't talk about. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's another show. Probably with a different guest, and that's the money part.
Oh, yes.
The money part goes to 3 religious agents, 3 religious groups. 3 religious groups make money off Black and Puerto Rican people in the foster care and the adoption system. It's an industry.
And the shelter system.
And the shelters.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
that's right.
And
It is.
may God continue to bless us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
It was
you.
nice meeting
And
you.
nice meeting you.
too.
I enjoyed the talk.
Good. I hope I shared
Yeah,
some valuable
because-
information.
You did.
I have family that raised up in the foster care. I have
And
a
they never,
cousin.
some of them are never right.
No, they're never right because they never know who they
Who you can trust.
who they can trust. I had one that sent one of her son all the way over to Africa with her family. He came back, he must be maybe 16, 15, and he found out who his mother was, but he doesn't act right. He wants to know about this, he wants to know about that, and really his mother can't tell him anything because she's a little. So they come and they ask me, and I want to tell them, but then she tells me it's not your place to tell my children anything, and I'm looking at him. So like I tell her, these are 24 and 25 years old men.
Right.
If they ask me something, yes, I'm going to sit them down and I'm going to answer their questions.
Well, one thing is certain. They're not going to stop asking until they find out.
Yeah,
You know? That because it's a curiosity that goes along
and they're
with
really
this, you know?
curious. They start and they look like They wait till the weekend when they get alcohol in them, and then they'll call your number and ask you questions.
Mhm.
And like
But
I
that
had,
don't mean they haven't been thinking about it all week.
because it's in the back of their
Yeah,
brains, and
they've
I
been
keep
thinking
telling
about
her.
it, and it just comes to a boil at this particular point. And they're drinking because nobody is answering their question.
Yeah,
Nobody's telling them. So you drive them to drink, you drive them here, you drive, when all you have to do is just answer the question.
but I
They
wait.
knew something was wrong, that's why they was over in Africa.
Yeah, and they asked us, how did he get to Africa? And the other two sitting there, so why didn't they take all three of us together?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, go to your mama. And I'm telling her she need to answer that question.
Yeah. Yes,
For
you can.
Africa?
Yeah, they wanted to send all the way to Africa.
You know how much it costs to fly to Africa?
They don't care how much it is to fly to Africa. When they want to send these kids, get rid of these kids, they get rid of them. They'll take them and they go. How do you think them children get from there to here? They they put them all on a bus and brought them here because they figured they put them on a plane. Somebody gonna recognize all these kids one time. So they put them on a bus and bring them here.
Well, some of them won't. They get here sometimes, because it
Yeah.
costs them money. They have to save for years
But I'm not understanding
to
your question.
pay money to get here.
I'm not understanding.
And
I'm
then
not hearing your question.
They have to, many of them borrow the money, and it takes them years to pay the money off.
Pay
So
the
all of
money
these
back.
people you see selling the what do you call those things? That little flowers and all of those little things on the street. You know, it's like it's almost like they're somebody's property, where you're having to pay this money back.
Just get a lady on.
Yes, so it's you someone's property, and you gotta pay this money back. If it's gonna cost them $20,000 to get you here, and you only have $5, then you owe $15,000. They're not gonna let you go just because you're here. You gotta pay up that money. And where can you go?
That's why I look at this. It's hard for to say a president to have something like this going on. Why don't he try to clean it up instead of putting
But
barbed wires?
he's making money too. The barbed wires, somebody's making money off the barbed wires. Everybody's making money. This is the name of this game, is follow the money.
That's right.
You know the
When the money stops, then they'll stop building that wall.
I said,
Okay.
Yes, that's the
You know,
name.
Sharonne,